All right, I'm back for story time number 2. Who knows how these will go? I was excited to find some of these photos today from my past, and some people sound kind of interested in some of this stuff I used to do. I had some interesting jobs back in the day. So I worked for Kaiser Permanente at one time, and I was an environmental services aide. So some of you already know what that is. That's basically a janitor. So I worked at the hospital as a janitor. But this janitor position has some extra job duties that a normal janitor doesn't have. So you go around, you empty the waste baskets, around the hospital. But you also empty out all the other bins in the hospital too. And that would consist of the birthing unit, where the placentas are, the giant tub of placentas. Oh, sorry, warning. This job is gross. If you get grossed out, I'm going to say some gross things. But I did this job. This could have been on dirty jobs, so prepare yourself if you don't like gross stuff. So emptied out giant buckets of placentas into biohazard bins, pouring them out. Sorry, it was if you could imagine. Cleaned out the OBGYN offices. That was interesting. Hey, this is just reality. Sorry. Yeah, it smelled terrible in that wing of the building. I had to clean out the trash cans in the morgue, and I had to mop the floor in the morgue. So I'd be on duty at 11 o'clock at night by myself, Kaiser Permanente, in the morgue. And I don't know if any of you have ever been around dead bodies, but when a dead body's been dead for a while, they kind of start to get gases moving in them, and they start to move around and kind of jump a little bit and make noise, excrete some noises. And so I'd be in there in the middle of the night, dumping the trash, and all of a sudden I'd hear or just something kind of move a little bit. Yeah, and I knew the science behind that, so it only freaked me out a lot. Not, I didn't go running out of there. It was just like, okay, I know why this is happening, but this is like a scary movie. Cleaned out the emergency room. Was in there when they had, trauma stuff going on. And let's see, I don't want to miss anything. Okay, yeah, I wanted to save these last, so because I have photos of these. So I cleaned out the OR rooms. It's the operating rooms, and this is actually, let's see, you can even see this is me and anything. Yeah, okay. So this is an operating room at Kaiser Permanente. Excuse me, I'm having a beer right now. I worked all weekend, so today's like my Saturday. That's me, Kaiser Permanente. My scrubs. It was kind of cool when I went home. People thought I was a doctor or a nurse or something like that, but I was basically the guy cleaning up after all those people. And excuse me. Jeez. Right into the mic. Sorry, folks. So that's iodine on the floor right there. To disinfect everything. Let's see here. There's another one. Those lights right there. We'd replace the covers on these lights right here on the handles. We replace all the bedding. Well, we got bedding right there. Dirty fingernails. Sorry about that. These canisters right here would be completely full of stuff that would suck out of bodies, and they'd be completely full. We'd have to go dump those out, get rid of those. All the sharps containers, all that stuff. So here's an operating room table without the sheets on it. They've got that those gel mats. We'd have to take those off completely, disinfect those, spray everything down. It took a while to clean up an operating room. Sometimes they were real tidy surgeries, and sometimes it looked like, oh, I can't think of anything funny to say right now. It looked like Rambo went through there. And there was like, you'd look on the ground like, is that an artery? Did this person make it? Yeah, it was interesting. I've seen hip replacement surgeries in person. I was allowed to scrub in, go into the operating room, watch them do hip replacements, knee replacements, sawing through with the metal tools, hammering all the stuff in. Watched an ectopic pregnancy, the egg be removed. That was interesting. So that was a good opportunity. Met some doctors, talked to some really smart people, heard a lot of code blues. That's when somebody's cardiac arrest, they're running to the room. Whoever's on, I can't remember what they call it, trauma duty. Whoever's on that duty, they'll have a certain amount of doctors and nurses that are on duty for that. Whenever that code blue goes off, they run to that room and take care of everybody. So I'd go check that out. And I saw them literally bring people back to life in the hospital. That was pretty cool. Like they would say, we lost them, and then they just keep going, and then they get them back, just like in the movies. That's like one of the few things that I've seen in real life that happened just like in the movies. That was cool. I never had the nerve to go into the patient's room, though, and after they brought him back and be like, hey, what'd you see? Nowadays, I might find a tactful way to go in there and talk to him, like, so, what was your journey like? Anyway, so this is the last photo I have. Now, this was at hospitals. They have a biohazard incinerator, and a lot of the things that are tissues, stuff like that. A lot of that stuff I was talking about earlier, they'll throw into this incinerator and basically just turn it into ash and then dispose of it, somehow. So this incinerator, and it's like the size of the back of a tractor trailer. This thing was full of body parts, etc., whatever that left over from surgeries. They were incinerating it, and it malfunctioned and caught on fire. Now, there's a bunch of plastic and other kinds of stuff in here, too, mixed in. So it's just a big coagulation of, oh, wait, I forgot I wrote on here. Yeah, leftover body parts, random, just, like, there were some syringes in there. I mean, it was ridiculous. But all this thing caught on fire, and everything melted together in just clumps. So imagine all of that stuff I just talked about melted together in clumps in the back of a semi-truck. And that's what this thing looked like. So the head of environmental services was like, hey, Barden, grab this gear, grab a shovel. You need to go clean that thing out. I was like, okay, all right, I'll go for it. And I shoveled that thing out. It was Fresno, 110 degrees in the middle of the summer, and this was me doing that, putting all the stuff in these red biohazardous bags, putting it into some other container, these round, these cylinder containers to get rid of all that stuff. And that is my story about Kaiser. There was some other stuff that went on. Let's see, with Kaiser. There was a guy actually that I worked with. This video. Well, hopefully some of that was kind of funny to you. Hopefully I didn't gross you out. I hate to end this on a sour note, but I just thought about Travis. There was a guy I worked there with named Travis, and I thought that the guy had a drug problem. I thought that he was doing meth, and because he had like dark eyes and he was real kind of hyper vigilant. He seemed a little paranoid, and he ended up. Like all this weird stuff happened to him. Like he got a DUI on a bicycle. He's riding his bicycle to the store. He got a DUI. A bunch of different stuff happened to him that just seemed like, really? What are you doing, man? That all this stuff's going on. And he ended up taking his own life. Now that I look back, it's very highly likely that Travis was a targeted individual. The person that offered me the job at Kaiser Permanente was a Freemason. His son was a Freemason. Actually, I'll stop there. A lot of Freemasons in that whole situation. So I don't know if that had to do with any of that, but that was my story about Kaiser Permanente. I worked there for a few years, met some interesting people there. Trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. There was a setup there where they tried to set me up, and I actually searched on a computer there some stuff about my family history. What I didn't realize back in the day, you know, internet stuff could be recorded or somebody could be looking or whatever, and I had these questions about like what had happened in my family in the past, and I should look this stuff up at home. I guess probably wouldn't have mattered, but looked it up on their computers, and it might have like thrown up some red flags, or they might have thought, what is this guy doing? But I was researching my past. So all right, that's it on that one. Story time number 2 done. All right, have a good night, day, whatever time you're watching this. See y'all later.